Welcome to another empowering episode of the Female Guides Requested podcast. This is your host Ting Ting from Las Vegas. Today we sit down with the incredibly inspiring Carol Simpson, a trailblazing climber and guide who is proving that age and societal expectations are meant to be challenged. Raised in the 1950s South, where athleticism in women was heavily discouraged, Carol didn't embrace her inner athlete until her late 20s, but once she did, there was no looking back. At age 42, she found her life's true passion in rock climbing, a discovery she describes as a profound moment of empowerment. Following her newfound calling, Carol moved out west and founded First Ascent at Smith Rock, which became the first ever women-owned guide service in the U.S. Now, at 80 years old, she is still climbing, lifting heavy, running a yoga practice, and even actively training to break the world record for dead hands for women over 80. In this episode, we dive into Carol's rebellious journey of defining gender norms, pioneering spaces for women in the outdoors, the absolute necessity of strength training as we age, and why it's never too late to ignite your inner fire.
My name's Carol Simpson, and I was born and raised in the deep south of Atlanta, Georgia, a kid in the 50s, and it was a whole different world then than it is now. And I've had a long history. I've been alive for a long time, so I've done a lot of things. Athletically, I started playing tennis in my late 20s, and I was avid and played it daily, which is kind of the way I have always done things, like 100%, And then I started running, and I ran, and then it was weight training, and I became a personal trainer and skier and long-distance cycling. My partner and I cycled from St. Augustine to Key West in 2010. So I was in my 60s then. And I started climbing at 42, like I told you before. And the first climb I did, it changed my life entirely. It gave me a message of empowerment. I think that's the best word for it. Just, I can do this. And it's amazing. And my legs were shaking the whole way up. It was a 5'9" top rope. But I was with a friend, and his friend, who was 21, started up. He had never climbed before either, and he backed off. And so I got on, and I thought, oh, boy, I'm never going to make it. But then I looked up, and I thought, well, I need to do this and this. And I got all the way up, and that was it. My life changed that day in February of 1987.
Wow, you still remember that day, huh?
I will never forget the day or the feeling, because you have to understand. I know you mentioned something about in the Asian culture that you were not encouraged to be athletic, etc., as a kid, and I really wasn't, and I was discouraged. And when I did that, it just, enlightenment, finally. Oh, I can do this. Wow.
And obviously, I would not claim that I know the culture in the South, especially so many years ago. But I'm curious because right now, it seems like all the American kids, well, all is a very absolute word, but I see a lot of American kids when they grow up, they are encouraged to participate in some sort of sport.
Yeah, you mean women? Or all kids, but particularly women. Yeah, well, that wasn't the way it was then, because it was not considered feminine.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then what was considered feminine back then?
Being a cheerleader or, in sports, maybe tennis. Um, it wasn't, you couldn't be in the popular group and be an athlete. That was way before Title IX.
I
And,
see.
things changed radically at Title IX, but that was way before Title IX. So it's, it's very empowering to be able to participate in sports, particularly when you're inclined that way as a kid.
And then when you were not encouraged to do sports,
Mm-hmm.
how did you find tennis then?
Tennis?
Yeah, you
Oh,
say you
oh,
start.
yeah. I didn't really find tennis until I was in my late 20s.
Okay, late 20s. Yes.
Yeah, because, we just were not encouraged to be on the drill team, to be a majorette, to be a cheerleader. It's always that while the guys did the sports. And and the best story I have on that is I had a big brother, and he taught me how to play baseball and how to climb trees and how to play football. And I loved it, but I was laughed at and ridiculed as a tomboy. And um, it just beat me down. I mean, I was a kid, and I just decided that, well, it's just not a good thing to do, and I need to temper that and play with dolls and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I remember I was laughed at when I was a kid because I couldn't jump, couldn't run. I was not coordinated. It was just awkward.
Oh,
And so and then eventually, yes, right now I'm a rock climber, but I feel that I really want to be a rock climber, but I carried that scar for quite a long time before I really accept myself. I wonder whether you share the similar experience.
absolutely, I did. And yeah, because I was sort of corralled into the old, what now has become the new thing, the trad wife. Well, it wasn't a choice when I was that age. You were a trad wife. That's what you did. You got married. I was 19 when I got married. You have babies. I was a mother of two at age 22. And that's what you did. And I've always been sort of the rebellious one in my family of four siblings, five altogether. And I kind of went against a lot of things that I was raised to believe. And once I discovered the fact that it was okay and it was still feminine, but I think that the word feminine is really misinterpreted so many times or misconstrued. I don't know what the word would be, but feminine to me now is being strong and being forceful and saying what you think and what you feel and believe. And then it was being obsequious and sitting back and getting talked over by the men and letting yourself be just part of the background. And that's not really, I find, what my personality was. So I went big time in the opposite direction.
In your heart that you have this inner fire, really want to like fight against this.
Really great way to put it, Ting Ting. That is really good. It's an inner fire. And I know that you know what I'm talking about. And the women listening to this know what that inner fire is because you have it.
Sometimes I think that's the purpose of this podcast. We have inner fire, but it's hard to push it alone. So we need more people
The
to
community.
share similar stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So once you start being athletic, you are not looking back, right? You go on and on. Tell me a little bit about the journey. Why, from tennis, you do weightlifting, and then because weightlifting back in that time, I would think
girl.
is even even more manly or whatever in quotes.
Yes, manly. I love it. That's what they think. But I mean, it was all men, and I was terrified to go into a gym and work out with all these guys. And most of the time you would get hit on constantly, and it was just, it was not fun. Don't want to be rude, but leave me alone. I'm working out. And I don't have that problem anymore, which is nice. But yeah, it was so different. And then I got my personal training certification in my 40s, and I was the only woman trainer, and all the women wanted to come to me for their training, and all of them were the same. I mean, that's the reason I stopped training. It just got too hard to try to motivate people, because they would say, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get big and muscles. And I'm sure I mean, I would love to have more muscles. And today, women have muscles, and it's considered beautiful, and it was not.
It is beautiful, I think.
Oh, I absolutely. When I see the girls in the beauty contest and their little arms, they have no muscle tone. And I just think it's unattractive to me. The women with the muscles look the best. And that's what John thinks too, because it's just beautiful. Don't know why.
I totally agree. Yeah. And what made you want to lift weight back? That was like 40 something years ago.
Yeah, I started lifting weights in my late 30s, like about 37 or so. Just personally. And so I did it a long time before I became a trainer. But I wanted to start lifting weights because I just wanted to get strong. It was just something I wanted to do, no conscious thought, just wanted to get strong.
Definitely. And I definitely think using weights is like the most effective way to get strong.
Absolutely, positively. And I'm totally convinced of that. And I still lift, and I lift heavy. And that's a very important thing for women who are getting older, because that is the single, what did I read? The single best example of strength is your grip strength beyond any other. And grip strength is trainable. And of course, you get a lot of that from climbing, but you know about the dead hangs and all that. And that's what I started doing, dead hanging and doing planks and trying to see how long I can do these things, and not really putting a lid on it or a limit on it, but just seeing where I can go with it. So I'm working now on my dead hangs, and I'm up to 1.5 minutes, and that's from 30 seconds when I started. But I read on AI that the average 80-year-old woman, her limit is 15 seconds. So, feel kind of special in that department. And
Nice.
the world record is 2 minutes and 1 second for a woman over 80. So I'm going for it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You breaking the record.
Yeah.
And,
we'll see.
And you found climbing at 42.
Yes.
It was a profound experience. Where was it?
I lived in the D.C. area at the time, Washington, D.C., and specifically in Alexandria. And we would go to a place called Great Falls, which was just a little crag on the Potomac River. And it was all top roping. And that's the first place that I ever climbed. And
when you found rock climbing, did it become your number one sport?
Everything else dropped out.
Nice.
I was bonkers over it. And I just loved it. I couldn't wait to do it again, and ended up going to Seneca. I don't know if you know where that is.
I know Seneca. Yeah, I used to live in East Coast, yes.
Oh, you did? Well, Seneca was scary and sandbagged and hard. And I prided myself on doing pretty well there. I led Crack of Dawn, which was, I think it's a 10A, but never would you see a woman on that. So that kind of got me started with this, hey, women can do it too thing, you know.
Yes.
That's before it was.
Mm-hmm.
And before it was
Mm-hmm.
well known that women can do it too.
During that time, did you just focus on yourself? Because, like even, I start climbing at 32, and then a lot of time when I guiding, and then they even say, wow, 32. And then this client, were all younger than me. They were just like,
Yeah.
oh, 32. I thought I started climbing too late. I was like, sure, I wish I started climbing earlier, but I mean, I did start climbing at 32. And when you start climbing, did you have a thought that it was too late, or you feel like it's very hard to compete with younger generation?
It never entered my mind.
Nice. So you were just really focused on because you really enjoyed the thing and you like to push yourself?
I just loved it. And the thing I liked about climbing was that it's an individual sport, unlike bouldering, which is more of a performance thing with a group of people. So I never really liked bouldering because I'm very much of an independent individual person. And climbing was me competing against myself, and it still is. And I will never think about competing against someone your age, but I'll sure compete with somebody who's in their 80s, you know.
Yeah. And then let's talk a little bit about your Smith Rock era.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's a very important era because you established this guide service even. So
Yes.
what brought you to Bend, Oregon?
Oh, that's interesting. John and I, my life partner of 36 years, John and I, sold our businesses. And, well, prior to that, we were going climbing and we were flying out west to go climbing and then coming back to the city. And it was all the same old city stuff. And, the climbing was not as good. It was farther away. So we ended up selling out. I sold my business. He sold, he didn't have a business, but he just quit. And we sold all our belongings and moved. I wrote an article for what used to be Rock and Ice, which is now Climbing Now Outdoors, or I don't know. The magazine has changed hands so many times, but I wrote this article called Following the Sun in 1992, and it was about our trip. We first went to Waco Tanks and climbed there and stayed at Waco Pete's and did the what do they call the bouldering thing there? It's huge. Anyway, I did my best on site there that I had done. It was 11C, so I was real psyched about that. And we moved to Arizona and we followed the sun kind of up as the weather dictated. We went to Arizona and then we went to Owens River Gorge. We just went a lot of places and ended up in Bend. And we loved Bend. We fell in love with Bend, both of us. And it was just a really cool town then. It was about 30,000 people. Now it's a whole lot more than that. Are you familiar with Bend?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. And so we were there, and that's when I went to I got personal training certification, and I was working at Gold's Gym and training. That's what I thought would be a fun thing to do. But then we ended up moving to Redmond because Bend was too far from Smith Rock. And I started the business in Bend on the kitchen table. And you had asked, I think, what the spark was that caused me to start a women-only guide service. And there wasn't one. I thought about that. There wasn't a spark. I just wanted to start a business because I've been entrepreneurial for many years. And I wanted to start a business And the thing I liked best was rock climbing. So I thought, well, I'll just start a business. I didn't think about the fact that I was a woman. Even in 1992, that was pretty rare. Well, as a matter of fact, mine was the first one in the U.S. And I found that out on AI. I had no idea until this was last year. I looked it up on AI, and there I am, and I didn't know that. But at any rate, there were two other guide services there at the time. One was a couple, and he was the major guide, the major sort of doer in the guide service. He did most of the guiding. I really never saw her out doing much guiding, but she was a good climber. And they had that guide service. And then there was Timberline Mountain Guides, and they were the ones that I really respected and wanted to be in the category that they were in.
I think Timberline is still in business, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they guide Mount Hood mostly, primarily Mount Hood, but they also guided Smith. And I really liked the owner there, Pete Keene, and we got along really well. And that was a real professional relationship, sharing the guiding. So it was good.
Nice. You mentioned that you were always an entrepreneur. Did you ever work for a company, or you always just
I worked for other people, and I was not a very good employee. And I thought it was my failing, of course. And it wasn't. It was, in retrospect, it was me having ideas that I thought were better than the people I was working for. So I just started my own business.
And what was your business before you sold it?
I got my degree in interior design, and I started an interior design business. It was very successful in Georgetown. It was very successful. So
nice.
That was great.
Wow. So this is a big contrast, interior design to rock climbing, even though it's all business, but the service is a little bit different.
I'd say, yes, I'm working with millionaires at the time, which would be billionaires today. I'm working with all these elite people. And I just could see, when I started climbing, I saw them differently.
Right. So climbing definitely changed your life trajectory.
Absolutely.
Right. So at that time that you decided to change your scene, that you sold your interior business and start this long road trip climbing?
Yeah. It was 4 months.
Nice. And then end up in Bend. And then you moved to Redmond, is that right? Oregon now? Yeah,
we moved to Redmond because when I first started the guide service, it's a 30-minute drive from Bend to Terrebonne, and I was tired of driving, so we got a house in Redmond for $50,000 back in the 90s.
Wow. Okay. I was like, wow, I was doing the math. I was, whoa, 50,000.
Yeah, $50,000, imagine. Right. But it was great because we were right there near the crag, and it was a really good move, except I did miss the amenities of Bend.
When you settled in Oregon, how long before you start your business, guiding service First Ascent?
Oh, good question. Okay, here's something that's a little crazy, but I guess I'm a little crazy. We decided just to get jobs, right?
Okay.
Because I didn't want to start a design business out there. I mean, and so I got a job for the first time in my life. I was a waitress at 47. And it was great. It was great. I wouldn't have wanted to do it very much longer, but there's no shame in it. It's a legitimate way to earn money. And I hear people say, well, I'm just a waitress, or I think they call them servers now. My daughter would correct me, but that's what I did. And then I just thought, I need to do something more. And like I said, I was sitting down at the kitchen table in Bend on Florida Avenue, and I had this idea for a logo. And because I was an art major, I'm an artist, and I love that kind of thing. So in designing brochures and all that kind of stuff to promote the guide service. Yeah, and that was just like, okay, this is it. This is what I want to do.
And then did you mostly serve women, or will you serve all
The guide
population?
service?
You mean your clients? Like
In the
when
beginning,
you invest, yes.
In the beginning, it was all genders, or both genders at the time, I guess. But it was, there was no intention of having it female oriented in any way. It just evolved because I started taking out women, as for privates or semi-privates. And I noticed that they needed to push themselves a little, to be a little more aggressive and not doubt themselves so much. And it really became screamingly apparent that women were holding back. And I didn't feel like that I was. And I wanted to let them know that they don't have to either. And so that just kind of evolved into a deal where I was doing workshops and camps and clinics and all this stuff for women before people were doing that.
Nice. Because a lot of time people have this questions that, well, if you host, say, all women, since for a long time that there are less female climbers than male climbers, then you might worry about your revenue.
Which I didn't. I guess I'm not smart enough. I don't know. I didn't worry about it.
Obviously you make it work. But I was just wondering that. So you didn't worry about that. You just like, okay, this is like, your inner fire is talking right now. I want to do this. And then did you get enough business to support?
Oh my gosh, we ended up with the biggest, most successful guide service at Smith. And
wow, nice.
Yeah. And that's nothing to shake a stick at, because Smith is pretty well known for all the hard climbers and I don't think it's so much anymore, but back then that was where everybody went. Smith Rock.
What is your approach? I'm very curious, because sometimes I also would encourage my students, just like, well, you can accomplish more than you think you can. And then you were talking about you see women holding back. What was your approach other than just being a great role model yourself to help them to push forward?
I think it was just teaching them slowly and letting them get. That's a really hard question. I started my first women's thing was, or one of my first was the women's camps that I did, and I did those for women who never climbed before, and that it's all so satisfying to me when I inspire women, but that was particularly satisfying because I had women from all over the country. I had a lawyer from New York who had never peed outside before in her life. And you might have to cut this out of the conversation, but she said, "Where's the bathroom?" And we were on the other side of Asterisk Pass, about 45 minutes from the bathroom. And I said, "Second rock to the left." And her face just turned white. But she did it. And she said, "That was awesome." So those little victories for women like that were great. And the woman that I was guiding that was having, or her husband had hooked up with his secretary. And she ended up, after the camp, divorcing him and starting her own business. And, I think when women are told that they can do something, that they will do it, it's for some reason, we feel the need for people to justify it or.
So you said at that time there's also 2 other guide services,
Yeah.
and you respect Timberline. And how do other guide services look at you as a competition? What was their attitude? It's like, well, this woman does this woman know climbing? Can she do a good job?
Yeah. Oh boy, I did get that, believe me. Timberline they were totally professional, accepted me. They were AMGA accredited. That, I think, to me, that became really important. And the others, they were just, and there was no social media, but I'm sure they would have let me have it. But the word I would hear from others was, so-and-so said that she doesn't understand why you're selling merch. Well, I was selling merch. That was long before merch was called merch. They used to call it merchandise. And I was selling it, First Ascent T-shirts, hats, because it's just part of promoting. And they didn't really understand that. They thought it was cheapening the guide service business and blah, blah, blah. Maybe it was, but that's not the way
I don't think so. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't either. I think that's the way capitalism works, and that's how you build a brand, right?
right. And then you know how to design, right? So why don't you just put it to
Yes,
work?
exactly. That was one of my loves. So the other one, a guy opened a guide service. He had a climbing gym, and he opened a guide service there. And he just, I don't know why I don't. That would be a good question for a psychologist because he just didn't like me, and he didn't like me guiding, and it was it was uncomfortable because I think
Right.
if I had been a man, I would probably have confronted him. But I'm a woman, and I don't like confrontation.
It's just not your approach, confrontation.
Exactly. I would run from it. I don't like it. So.
And then you mentioned about AMG accredited.
Yeah.
And you said at some point became important to you. Can you describe why was that? And then your process of getting it. You eventually got First Ascent accredited, right? So,
Yes. I just felt that it was important to have credentials because I've always been told I needed credentials. That's why I got my personal training cert. I wasn't just another gym bro, I got the certification and I got all my yoga certifications. And I've always been sort of into the certification process because I feel like it sets standards and it legitimizes the guide service. And I had a guide whose name was Jim Blau, and I think fondly of him still today. I sold my guide service to him.
yeah,
And
the chalk stop, right?
yeah, he changed it to Chalkstone, which I didn't really like that much, but that was none of my business. Because I had established a brand that was called First Ascent for over a decade, and I had established clients, et cetera, and name recognition. But he wanted to call it Chalkstone, which is a good name, so he did. And he was such a great guy. I mean, just the nicest person ever, and super smart when it comes to guiding and when it comes to rigging and the mechanical details of climbing. And he was so strong. He was a former gymnast and he climbed super hard, plus just being a super nice guy. So I was telling Jim, and I were talking about, he was our head guide then, and I said that I wanted to look into AMGA guide certification, and he did a lot of the legwork, and I wrote the things I was supposed to write, and we got accredited. And I think that was a really good moment for me. It was a fulfilling moment for me. But I did not pursue my own AMGA. I took one rock guide course, but I was busy running the guide service, and I really couldn't take off and do the AMGA, all the AMGA stuff. I would have loved to have done that, but instead I paid for Jim to get his certification. So, which I think was very generous myself. I don't know if other guide services do that, but I did it because I believed in him and I knew he could get it. And he got his cert, and he was just the most amazing guide. And yeah, I mean, your guides are who you are, in a guide service. They represent you.
Yes. You started your business in 1996. Is that correct?
That's incorrect.
1992?
Yeah.
Okay.
AI has that incorrect. It's not 96. It's 92.
Okay, because I found it on Chalkstone's webpage, so maybe you have to tell Jim to update.
I better tell Jim. Yes. I haven't.
Okay, so 1992, and then you say you ran the business for a decade, so it will be 2002-ish?
Well, no, I sold it in 2008, so it was more than a decade.
Okay, yeah. Because for me, my understanding is back then, the AMGA certification is not as recognized highly like it now. Like now, if you need to guide, you need to be certified by the AMGA. Otherwise, it's very hard to get a job.
Yes.
Yeah. But back then, so I think from 1992, maybe even early 2000, it's probably fine.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. But then at that time, you still feel the AMGA accredited is very important.
Yes, absolutely. And as you say, it's gotten very, very important now. And, that your question is an interesting one about when did I decide that about the accreditation? And the answer is that I have lived it through my interior design, because I spent years studying and mentoring with a big design firm in Georgetown. I spent so many years, and I got my credentials, my degree to practice interior design. And then one of my best friends opened up, she put out a shingle and called herself a decorator. And that just, it really bothered me, because number one, it takes away the credentials of the business. It takes away the fact that you need to learn. You're not just born with it. And also the yoga thing, because I have 3 yoga certificates, and there's so many teachers that in those days, I don't think they're doing it so much anymore, but they would just call themselves yoga teachers, and that's what they did. And I'm so happy to see that our society has gotten to the point where we recognize credentials, and because behind credentials means an education.
So you have your guide service. You also hire male guides, obviously.
Yes.
Since Jim is a male guide. And so probably you have some guiding that pertain to the general public, but then you have special women-only retreats or workshop and classes.
Yes.
Yes. And I assume that you ran most of them, or maybe you have other female guides that you hire?
Female guides? You have no idea how few. I mean, I did not even get one female guide until...
No, not at all.
Until Wendy. She was my first.
Okay.
And she was in the early 2000s. There were no women guides. I mean, there were mountain, of course. But there just weren't women rock guides. And I hired people who were friends, who were good climbers, and a lot of them couldn't lead climb, but I was there, so I was managing the whole thing. And it just, what I say to my young friends today, and I have some from the climbing gym, and I tell them women weren't leading then. There, of course they were. There was Lynn Hill, there was Bobby Bensman, there were women who led climb, but you have no idea the ratio. I mean, you can't even picture it now at your age and in this time, but it just wasn't there. We would go climbing all day when we climbed at the New River Gorge a lot, all day long, and I would see maybe one other woman, just
Okay.
women
Wow.
today don't realize what it was like. You just don't, and that's why I'm here telling you and saying, good for you, and keep going, and don't put limits on yourself.
Wow. Then you start your business 1992, not until early 2000 you got Wendy.
Yeah.
So you were the only guy, the lead guy for all the women workshop and courses?
It, but no, I had assistants, I call them, and they weren't really guides, but they were climbing friends, and of course they jumped at the opportunity.
Right. Yeah, you need, because otherwise you can't take care of that many people. So
right, not by myself, no. So
right, but then you have to set out the climbs, right?
Yes. And right. I hooked up with Brittany Griffith. Do you know who Brittany is?
I totally know of her. Yes.
Yeah, well, she was my climbing partner for years. She was, I guess, the age you are now, because I don't know. I guess
she could guide, right? I mean, she
did.
Yeah, okay.
And she was awesome, and we became best friends. And we would do trips to Red Rock. I could have been her mother, but we do trips to Red Rocks and Joshua Tree with women's groups, and we would go out and Brittany, I mean, she just could climb anything, and we would just set up climbs and then just all day long let them top rope. Or it was really hard in those days for me to let people lead, particularly the areas where we were at Joshua Tree. It's mostly trad. And I did teach a lot of women to trad lead as well as sport climbing. Usually it was on a top rope backup kind of thing. And so Brittany and I were just a team for a while there. It was really great. I really still like her very much. She's a fun person.
And during the time that you ran your business, did you try to get female to become guides?
Yes. Well, I've tried to, I guess in a word, yes, because I needed help. And it was always the women who were really good, solid climbers that wanted to be guides, of course. That was part of their dream. And most of them were part-time, as were the guys. But we had a couple of dozen guides during the summer. I mean, it was a busy guide service. But we also ran kids camps, because that's another thing. That's another promotion that I like to present, is kids. And we had Smith Rock Climbing Camp, which was really popular. And I still have young girls then, but women today, that contact me that were in that camp. And that's very, very, makes me very grateful. And it was terrific. And we had Lynn Hill one year that came to teach the kids, and we had Scott I can't remember Scott's last name, but we had Tiffany Campbell. She has a different name now, a marriage name. I don't know if you know who she is, but she was a super strong climber. And yeah, it was great. But the young girls then that I get texts from occasionally are still following me, and it's just so wonderful to think that I had that impact on those kids, you know.
Nice. What was the turning point or your thought of, okay, I want to put period on the First Ascent and sell my business?
Oh, gosh, I have to think back. Oh, I think I know what it was. I think it was yoga. Because when I started practicing yoga, seriously, my first yoga class was in 1968. So I didn't really do much with the yoga, except off and on, because I was busy raising kids. And it's hard to take time, for that when you're raising kids and have a husband to take care of too, because that's what they did in those days. You took care of them. And, these days men are a lot more independent. But yeah, okay, reframe that question for me because I've rambled on and forgotten the train of thought.
I mean, what made you decide to move
Selling
on?
the guide
Yes.
service.
Mm-hmm.
When was it? 2004. I started practicing Bikram yoga, which is the original hot yoga, and it's super hard and super. Have you ever practiced Bikram yoga?
Oh, I only did very little yoga, so I can claim I know a lot.
It's hot, it's hard, and it's mostly attractive to athletes. And I was in Bend, and there's so many athletes per capita there, you can't believe. And I just fell in love with the Bikram yoga. I was still climbing. I never stopped climbing. But I decided to go to the yoga training. And it's a 9-week intensive yoga training. It was in Acapulco, Mexico. It was 9 weeks of torture, but it was another experience that changed my life because it was hard. You did two-hour classes a day, and you had clinics, lectures, workshops until the wee hours of the night. And then you got up and did it again for 9 weeks. And I was 63 at the time. And I was proud of myself because I never left the room. It's hot as hell in there. And I mean, hot. And they were carrying out these strong young men like bodies from a war scene. And it was probably really not healthy. But I made it through, and it was hard work. And I kind of decided that, I wanted to teach yoga, and the guide service was great, but I was kind of ready, to give it over, and then no better person than Jim to take it over. So, then I practiced enough, and when I was in Lone Pine, I opened my own studio.
Then you moved to Lone Pine at that time.
Yeah, after that, when I sold the guide service, we moved to Las Vegas.
Oh, okay. You moved to my town now.
Yes, that's right. I forgot you live there. Yeah. I wasn't crazy about Las Vegas, no offense, but I liked Summerlin and I loved Red Rock. And that's where we were, We lived right down the street from Red Rock Canyon. And I hated the Strip so much. And, every time somebody comes to visit you, you have to take them to the Strip. And it's so awful. But where do you live in Vegas?
Oh, I live in the east side because I can't afford Summerlin.
Oh, you came before Summerlin. Okay.
No, I can't afford
Oh, you
Summerlin.
can't afford it. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, we were a lot older than you, so we could afford it. But yeah, we went to Vegas, and then John got a job where he was traveling for 2 weeks and then home for 2 weeks. And I mean, that's one of the reasons we moved to Vegas, because they have a good international airport. And in Bend, you couldn't fly in. You flew to Portland and then back. It was crazy. But for him to be able to fly in and out was easy. And we thought it might be fun. I had a friend there from yoga and some climbing friends there. And it wasn't my favorite. I didn't hate it. But then John got a job in Lone Pine, and it was a job with the county. And he was assured that if he works 5 years, he gets full benefits, pension, health care, everything for the rest of his life. So he decided, hey, I'm going to do that because it's pretty good to have a backup like that. So we moved there, and I just never was happy in Lone Pine. Even though it's the most. Have you been there?
Only once, but definitely Amy invited me.
Amy.
She really liked it.
She did, I know.
Wow, I was actually just about to ask you about John. I was like, whoa, what does John do? Because it seems like John followed you around for quite a while from the east Georgetown, is the East Coast, you said? And
Georgetown is in Washington, D.C., where all the rich people live.
And then all the way to Oregon, where you start your business. So I was like, wow, that was like over 10 years of Oregon, you guiding there. And then,
Well, I don't know if
I imagine he just
me. I don't think he was following me. I think we were following each other in the beginning. And then when it came to the jobs, like moving to Las Vegas, I followed him there. And moving to Lone Pine, I followed him there. And yeah, but our whole relationship is, the nucleus is climbing.
I see.
And we met climbing.
Does he climb? So he climbs.
Gosh, yes.
Okay.
He climbs pretty hard. We met climbing and at Great Falls, and every time we go on vacation, and we vacationed all over the world climbing. That's what it is. And we just booked tickets today to fly back to Kalymnos and climb there for 2 months.
Kalymnos is fun. Yeah.
We went there 2 years ago. It was incredible. One of my favorite things about Kalymnos? There's a lot of old people climbing there.
Talking about
that.
I actually didn't notice that. But
that's because you're young.
Thank you for saying I'm young. I mean, to be honest, I just hit 50. I celebrate my 50th birthday a few days ago. And somehow, I mean, I don't feel I'm old, but somehow
you need to feel like that. Don't buy into that, Ting Ting. Don't. In retrospect, I did my hardest climb of my life when I was 60. My 50s were my favorite decade.
Nice.
You can do anything in your 50s. You're young enough and you're old enough. You're right there.
I haven't thought that. Young enough and old enough. It's like a perfect balance, huh?
Perfect. The yin and the yang, I'm telling you. It's perfect. So do not ever let me hear you question whether you're too old for that. No, because I look at you 30 years younger than I am, and I say, if I'm not giving up, then you're not giving up either. And here's my theory. Your generation, the Gen X, is that what you are?
No, I don't think so. Yes.
You're a millennial?
Right. Also not millennial. So I actually don't know.
You don't know what
generation.
You are.
Okay.
You're close to Gen X, and I think your generation, which includes Lynn Hill, Bobby Bensman, I wish I could name them all. they are going to tear it up when they're in their 70s and 80s, and who knows how much longer. And so they're setting the stage for you, and that's kind of the way I feel about myself. I want to set the stage for women who are younger than me to come along and not give up. And if I had a nickel for all the people, because I was the one who answered the phones, I did everything at First Ascent. I answered the phones and I would hear, well, I want to book a guiding for my kids. We're too old, we're in our 40s. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm in my late 50s listening to them and thinking, what? Where did you hear that? And
Right.
why do you believe it? I think society will just let you go where they want you to go, unless you just don't agree to do it.
And
So keep on going, girl.
Yeah. And I think it's a little bit hard. Like I had that all the time because my friends say, oh, you rock climb. Oh, it's not at my lifetime because I'm too old. And
Right.
it's a little bit hard to change those people. But then I think we have a lot of chance to maybe nudge those people who actually came out to try, even though they think they are old.
Yes. Yes.
And I bet that you met some of those people who maybe first time then they are like maybe their 30s, their 40s, maybe 50s.
Yes.
What do you say to them?
Well, I just try to do what I do, and I try to show them, not tell them. And because if somebody I am so in search of older women to inspire me, and there's not that many anymore. The older I get, the fewer there are. But I have some people that I'm following on social media that are doing really hard things at advanced age. And, we all, at some point, it's all terminal for every one of us. We're not going to live forever. No one's getting out alive. So while you're alive, why not? Right? But there's one important caveat, and that is that you got to be willing to work. And not everyone is, I understand.
Okay.
And because you might already know at 50 that your recovery is not as quick as it was when you were younger, when you were 32. And yeah, my recovery is not anywhere near. We used to climb 2 days on, 1 day off. Now we climb 1 day on, 1 day off. Because I need a whole day, and then I've got all these other things I need to do also. But that's part of my dilemma, is finding time to fit everything into my schedule. But fortunately, my kids are grown, I'm retired, and I've got lots of time. And I have been doing not women's, but I'd like to do women's balance and stability and agility training in yoga studios. And if anybody wants, I'd love to come and do one for you, because if you don't practice your balance, you are going to lose it. And I don't mean balancing on the side of the rock. I mean walking. And every day I do my balancing exercises every day. And I've seen an enormous improvement. Of course, I had a brain injury in 2012 and lost a tremendous amount of my balance. So, but I feel like I am getting back to where I was. I'm not there yet, but you got to be willing to put in the work and the time. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you do. I've seen you with your adventures on Instagram and where you go and what you climb, and wow, you're doing it And maybe you don't even realize you're just having fun, right?
Well, I definitely agree that, well, I mean, it's never too late. And if you are willing to work at it, and then you see progression, maybe slow, because I'm a greedy person. I want to see fast progression, right?
Me too.
But then I now have to make peace with myself. It's like, well, as long as I have progression.
That is your maturity.
And
that helps you so much.
And I'm curious, since you have 30 years
on you.
And I wonder, during this phase, everybody's going to be a little bit different, but anything you feel like you have to adjust according to your age?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. And you have to be willing to adjust. Okay. And yeah, you have to, if you have any injuries or you have to do physical therapy, you have to practice your balance. You have to keep your leg strength up. You have to keep your grip strength up, all of your strength, your muscles. You have to eat right. You have to get sleep. No matter how hard you work, you have to figure out a way to get good sleep, because that becomes more important the older you get. But you're not even there yet, Ting Ting. You're not even there yet. I have to tell you, just keep doing what you're doing and don't stop. Don't get off the bus, like I said before. And you asked me what exactly that means, and it's not mine. It's from Mark Twight. You know who Mark Twight is?
Yes, I definitely know. Yes. Yeah, I at one time I even thought he was crazy.
He is. But he's great. And he has these metaphors like drinking the martini of death, and he said, don't get off the bus. And I thought, oh my God, that's such a great metaphor for life. Because when you get off, you're probably not going to get back on unless you fight like.
Yeah, I mean, but somehow this expression also made me sad a little bit. Oh, I have to cling tightly on the bus, so it's kind of like an infinite treadmill. You understand?
Yes, but no, because I've had some big time health issues. I got started in 2012, and I missed a whole lot, like 7-8 years of really climbing hard and training. I climbed at the Alabama Hills, which is slab climbing, and I was hanging on to the back bumper of the bus, like you said, but I feel like I'm back on it now, and I don't have to hang on for dear life. I'm on the bus. Does that make sense?
So maybe you would drive the bus eventually.
Yes, I love this. You're taking it to a new level. Now I'm going to drive that damn bus.
Okay, you're right. So first you say, okay, we try hard, but we still hang on to the bus. But now we are in the bus, and then we can drive the bus.
Eventually, yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Because I don't want to hang on forever.
No, right? You're not going to hang. That's only when you have things that happen to you, because they will. I mean, things happen.
Yes, there are setbacks and stuff.
Yes, and so that's when you're hanging on the bumper. But I feel like I did a big heel hook and got back on it because of the work that I put into it. And I'm telling you, it's work, but making it an everyday part of your life is part of the thing I want to impart, particularly to women. And I don't mean to harp on the women thing. It's just that I am a woman, and that's how I identify. And that's why I'm so pro-feminine.
I look at you, even though you talk about it's a lot of work, but I think you actually enjoy the work.
Of course.
Right? So I think it's the most important thing.
It's like there's nothing worse than, to me, physical therapy is so boring. you go and you're doing this, and you're doing that, and it's boring and you don't stay with it, right? But if you're making it a part of your life, for me, the balance thing, for example, when I lost my balance, I balance all the time now, and you should start this now.
Okay.
Not any later, now. Everybody, I don't care if you're in your 20s, here's the first thing I always say, when you're brushing your teeth with one of those 2-minute toothbrushes, stand on one leg.
Oh, that's from you. I actually overheard this from my friend Miranda Oakley.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then she told me that her friend trained by staying single leg and brushing
Yes.
teeth. Okay.
And also, when you're putting your clothes on, after a while, you'll see people who are older hold on to something and then they put their pants in their. When I get dressed, I do it without holding on to anything. So it's balancing. Even putting on recently I've been able to put on my climbing shoes, standing on one leg, just lifting a leg up.
Wow, climbing shoes are so tight.
I know, but I can stand there on one leg and do it. And nobody thinks anything about it because when you're 20, it's easy.
I mean, I kind of like this because you were talking about, okay, you integrate little thing
Yes.
into a daily routine. So it's kind of like, it remind me of when I read Atomic Habits.
Yes. I love Atomic Habits.
Right. So they basically just like, oh, you make it daily and you don't even think about it, but you're doing it. But then you attach on your original habit.
Yes. You're waiting for the microwave. You're standing there. Why not just lift up a leg, And also when you're picking something up off the floor, squat, ass to the grass. And pick it up. Don't bend over and pick it up. Squat, right? And then by the end of the day, you've done 20, 30 squats.
Yeah, I kind of like this because then it doesn't feel like working.
Right, and I think that's where we're on the same page because both of us like to be in shape, but we like to have fun.
Yeah, I mean, fun is the most, it's my ultimate driving force.
Of course. Nothing wrong with that.
In the past, I think something's boring, like working out is boring, but I just need to change my mindset and find some fun.
Find some fun in it, like even the grip strength thing with your friends. Have a little grip strength contest, and because there's a podcaster, a young man in LA. I can't remember his name, but Hooper's Beta, it's called, and they did a dead hang. His girlfriend, himself, a strong woman climber, and a strong male climber, and they all just timed the thing to see who could hang on the most. And of course the girlfriend fell off first because she wasn't really that she was a new climber. And then I can't remember who fell off next, but the male climber, he held on for 10 minutes.
Wow. Okay. That's a long time.
That's a long time. But yeah, just, just make games out of stuff. I have a woman that you never know if these things are really legit, but she's 100 years old who can hold a 3-minute plank. That's who I want to be when I grow up.
Nice. I mean, I can probably hold 3-minute plank, but I don't know when I'm like old.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But
great.
If you make a game of it, it's a lot easier. But the main thing is just to climb. We climb 3 days a week.
Nice.
And we're going to Maple next week.
And then, so you said you have this big injury, and then you have this big comeback, and now you climb 3 days a week.
Yes, but it took me a couple of years. So that's how patient you have to be with yourself.
And how did you have the patience? Like you just believe hanging on to the bumper?
I did not like hanging onto that bumper. I wanted on the bus.
Right. So you want to be on the bus. You get
I
that.
want to be on the bus.
Okay.
And I'm probably the oldest female that climbs in that whole. We climb at the front in Salt Lake City. I don't know if you've ever been there.
The gym, you mean?
The climbing gym.
I've been to Momentum. I haven't been to front.
The front. Oh my gosh, because we went to the Momentum too. But the front.
Next time I go to Salt Lake, you take me to
That
front.
would be so much fun. Our townhouse is the parking lot is contiguous to the front parking lot.
Whoa, that close. Okay.
So it's 50 feet, and we go 3 days a week. And I'm not a gym climber because they didn't have gyms when I was climbing. And we didn't train. So I'm just training to get stronger and do better on the overhanging routes. Mostly the vertical routes I can do, but the overhanging ones are a bit more challenge when you're 80, but they're fun, they're fun.
Yeah, definitely.
And something about climbers, the harder it is, the more fun you have. I don't know what it is. And people say, I'm happy climbing 5.7s and 5.8s. That's all I want. I just want to be happy. Well, I'm not. So, we're all different.
Yes. I mean, definitely if they are truly happy at that, great and good for them.
Great. Good for them.
Yes. But everybody have different goals. So
exactly.
We have to find our and how about, so you are truly like really, you have so many certificates on yoga. I mean, I always heard that yoga and climbing is kind of yin and yang and it helps each other. But I never, I am a climber for many years, but I never really truly a yogi. What do you say?
I say you don't have to be a yogi, but Tai Chi, there's all sorts of things that you can do for your joints to open and limber up your joints. And that's what's going to get you if you don't start stretching and opening those joints up. Because they're going to get inflamed. They're going to be tight. And when you try to go for a certain move, you're not going to be able to do it because, my shoulder hurts. So yoga is just something that you can do. And it's also super fun. And I think particularly you would like the yogas that are more challenging, more athletic. And I don't know if you realize there's just different kinds of yogas. There's yin and yang.
I want to learn how to do a handstand.
You need to take Ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga is the most difficult, the most challenging, the most acrobatic, if you want, of yogas. And actually, you're probably still young enough to deal with it. But I practiced Ashtanga in my 50s, and it was hard because I was climbing. And so you're using a lot of upper body in Ashtanga and climbing. So it was like I wasn't getting enough rest, and I got my shoulder injured. So
that's right, the rest.
The rest. The rest becomes more important the older you get.
Oh, one more question I want to ask you is about the mentorship. So for me, I imagine that you have mentored a lot of younger generation, but have you considered anybody that is like a role model for you when you on your climbing path, or who or maybe side by side, not really like mentor you, but like accompany you so you keep pursuing your climbing dream?
So maybe did I understand you having someone older than me who?
Oh, it doesn't have to be older. Just like we're talking about representation matters, right? Because when I see, say, Alice Hano free soloing, I just like, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
But I never feel like I want to be like that because I can't put myself in his shoes.
Right.
But if like Lin Hill, even though it's so much harder than I climb, he moves so much better. But I feel like, I could one day become like that, right? So I was wondering when you were climbing. It doesn't have to be older than you. It could be somebody just like, oh, I want to be like that. I can be like that. Or in your peer that you also have that experience.
Well, that is absolutely Lynn Hill for me, because she freed the nose. When was it? 90? When was it? 93?
1993. Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, I just fell in love with her then. And she's the one that started with this. She said something about the women in the beauty contest with their noodle arms, and that she thinks muscles are much more sexy and appealing. And she's got muscles in her armpits. I've never seen anyone so strong as her. She's unbelievable. And I have climbed, well, I didn't, she worked at our camp, so I knew her, and she is a terrific person. And that would be part of it, that, it would have to be a climber who is a good person and has a good heart. But I look at Janja and all the climbers today, and it's like a whole different sport to me.
Yeah.
But
yes.
it's almost like parkour these days. Do you know what parkour is?
Mm-hmm, yes. Yeah. I mean, I love watching modern bouldering. I can't do a lot of those moves, obviously, but it's fun.
It's fun to watch, yes. But as far as doing it, I don't think so. But I like.
Well, here you don't say you don't think so.
Well, I know. Yeah. Well, parkour. Yeah, that might be the limit.
Maybe right now you choose not to pursue because you have other things to do.
Yeah, that's it. You've hit the nail on the head.
But I would say that don't say impossible. It's possible.
Yes. Everything's possible, except to be alive forever. Right? Yeah. The rest is, but you do find that you realize your physical challenges, shall we say, not limitations, challenges. And
something's gonna be harder to achieve than others.
Yes, absolutely. But I mean, you can take that to extremes. I mean, I'll never be able to be a javelin thrower. I mean, I don't want to, I guess is the answer. Right. So, yeah.
Great. All right. So right now you're still active, you lift weights, you do yoga, you climb 3 days a week. So you say that you are promoting yourself at the very beginning of this podcast. So what do you want other people to see and be inspired?
I want to be able to, the TED Talks thing, like I would like to be able to speak. I'd like to be a motivator. I'm not so sure about the Instagram influencer thing. To me, to go and look people in the eye and talk to them like I'm talking to you and saying, you're 50, you got it all in front of you, girl, get to work. And, and to go to yoga studios and do workshops, which I have done, and it's so fulfilling and rewarding. And I'm particularly women. I wanted to do women at the last yoga place that I did, but she didn't want to make it that exclusive. She wanted to include men. But when I see yoga for over 50, it makes me want to scream, because 50, like you can't do anything when you're 50. And chair yoga, they do chair yoga. Well, learn to get up off the floor, That's what I do too. I do a little good night yoga every night, 30 minutes to an hour. And I get up off the floor without using my hands. And that's what you need to start practicing when you're on the floor. Don't grab a chair or don't hold your knee. Just get up. And that's something you can learn to do. And I'd like to have a class of women who just want to learn to get up off the floor, because I can show you how to do it. And you might laugh, but there are people, most people probably, that can't get up off the floor without using their hands unless they're 20 or 30, maybe 40. But yeah, we need to broaden the horizons, and I'd love to be able to do that. And I'm not really marketing myself right now, except talking to you, that sort of thing, being on podcast. If anybody wants to talk with me about anything like that, I don't know if you put contact numbers on your show notes or what, but
I definitely put the
email or
whatever you want to share on the show notes, so then people can contact you.
Yeah, they can email me. Anybody. I'd love to hear from you.
Nice.
Because I learned, the thing is, I have these little buddies at the climbing gym. They're little buddies. They're 24 and 25, early 20s. And they're hungry for that sort of thing because they don't get that from most women, their grandmother's age, and they need to get it because it's a fact.
Yeah, great. It was,
I hope I have inspired you.
Yeah. I need somebody to tell me, call me a girl, call me the young girl.
You are.
Yeah. So
you have no idea, but in 30 years, you'll look back. You'll think, oh, I remember what she said.
I'll keep working hard because my hardest climb is yet ahead of me.
So you're just getting started.
Boy, it's so fun talking with you.
Yes, you too, Ting Ting.
Is there anything you want to add or I forgot to ask or something?
I don't think so. Oh.
All right. So thank you so much again. I hope we'll meet someday when you come to Vegas or when I go to Salt Lake.
If you're in Salt Lake, let me know and I'll meet you at the front.
Okay.
So we'll do that. It's a date. Stay on that bus.
Thank you for listening to the Female Guides Request podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and share it with a friend. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious out there.